don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
That's right, America's youth don't need no education, just jobs. New numbers show how the economy is affecting the lives of young adults. Has the millennial generation become just another brick in the Obama wall? I'm Alan Barton. Stay tuned for the front page. Joining me in studio, Yaron Brook, president of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights, and Terry Jones, associate editor for Investors Business Daily. All right, new numbers from the Pew Research Center paint a dismal future for America's young adults. Unemployment among 18 to 24-year-olds, 16% last year, twice the national average. Rough economic conditions are delaying adulthood for many kids out there. But Terry, let's take a look at this. I mean, who's really to blame here when you look at this? Is it really like that there's a bad economy, so it's tough to find work, and when it's tough to find work, you can't quite get that step after college towards financial independence? Is it that simple? Or do you think that there's sort of a cultural aspect here of a generation that grew up under a boom, and in a way, it's not just the raw dollars, but a sense of disillusionment in the system?
I think it's a little bit of both. There's a long-term secular trend here dating back to the 50s of a lower and lower labor participation rate among teenagers. And a lot of that, I think, is the fact that kids are going right out of high school and going straight to college and seeing that as the stepping stone to work rather than seeing work as a stepping stone to a future. So, I mean, I think that's part of it. But, you know, there's something in what you're saying here in that kids, I think today, and I hate to use that phrase.
Kids today.
Kids today.
Listen to that rock and roll. Sound old. Listen to that rock and roll music. Surfing that interweb.
They got that wild music on all hours of the night. Let me tell you, kids, that's
they
not
got them iPod thingamajigers in their ears.
Facebook, that's the evil devil.
But finish the thought.
Well, I think they face a far more uncertain future than more recent generations have, and I think a lot of it is the government tampering with the economy has left clearly has left the job growth and career paths highly restricted.
Yaron, what are your thoughts on this? I know you have viewpoints about education in terms of like what exactly are they investing in when they take out gigantic loans to get these.
So I think there's a lot going on here. You know, we've lived through 50 years of an entitlement state that only grows and sends a message to young people, particularly poor young people, unfortunately. We've got a minimum wage laws that are oppressing. Who do they oppress, minimum wage laws? They hurt the very population we're supposedly trying to help. They hurt teenagers, particularly minority teenagers, poor teenagers, who can't find jobs at $5, $6 an hour so they can learn the skills to advance up. And then we've got what Peter Thiel calls, and I think he's right, we've got an education bubble. We've got this notion that going to college is the miracle pill, right? You go to college, no matter what you learn there, no matter what the degree is, no matter how leftist and crazy and nutty your professors are, you're going to learn skills that are, this is the future. And I think we're starting to pay the price for that.
But they also have, there are indications that if you're a college graduate, your unemployment rate is much lower than not a college graduate. What do you think that's a function of? Is that just the maturity that comes in those 4 years?
I think there's a lot of things. I think it's the fact that a lot of people without college degrees are not willing to take the kind of jobs that are available out there. That's why we have illegal immigrants coming here to take some of those jobs. It's the minimum wage laws. It's the entitlement state that pays them benefits for not to work. And then it's the fact that we've created the statistics are a little old. I mean, the fact is, the statistics, yes, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and they're skewed. If you have an engineering degree, you do very, very well in this economy, particularly computer engineering, where there's a huge shortage, even as we speak. Steve Jobs was complaining to Obama that he could hire 30,000 engineers.
While you were away, we did a story on Apple and their Chinese factories, and I think they have 8,000 engineers on hire within a week, available 24/7.
We don't have them in the United States.
You just can't do that.
If you go to school today and you get an engineering degree, particularly in computers, you will do very, very well. But if you go to school today and get a degree in English Lit or in history or in philosophy, where 90% of what you're learning is crap, is a waste of your time and actually decrease in your IQ, then you're not going to do very well when you get out of college.
So Terry, here's the question. What does this then breed in this younger generation? I mean, for instance, 3 years ago for this company, I went to CPAC just to see what was going on, and we had a booth there and all that stuff. And CPAC, I remember, and I'm a bona fide Gen Xer right here, I was going like, who are all these young people? I mean, it felt like a college rally, and that was like 3 years ago, and apparently this year, same thing, over 50% of the people at CPAC, very, very young. And Ron Paul's followers, the oldest candidate in the race, has the youngest followers in the race. Is there a trend then towards people who want government out of the mix? Is there that level of cognizance to it, or
I think there is, and I think it's growing. We see that in
because one would think it would be, oh, you're going to have a generation of people who want more on the dole.
Yeah. Well, polling data show that younger people are increasingly more favorably disposed toward ideas like libertarianism and things that would get government off their back, because I think they realize, even if they haven't thought it entirely through, they realize that a lot of this stuff hasn't worked. And to elaborate on what Yaron was saying about education, for a long time, for decades, businesses used the college experience as a kind of credentialing service where somebody who went to school for 4 years, it didn't matter what the degree was, it indicated a certain dedication and discipline and an ability to think, because of course that's what college taught you, was how to think. And now colleges are far more factories of conformity than they ever were in the 50s or the 60s. And kids come out with a bunch of preconceived notions that don't really fit the way the world actually is. And I think it handicaps them. I think their expectations are...
And more and more businesses are now having remedial training because they come out of college without the basic skills to function in business. So
being able to write an English sentence. I mean, I know the company that I run, like everything has to come through me because
they can't write, and there's no grammar, there's no spelling, and so it's a real problem. Colleges are not doing what they used to do, and then on top of that, add the fact that they cost more and more money. Right, this is part of the bubble. Is government-fueled bubble. This government is throwing more and more and more money through loans and through grants and through everything else into the salaries of professors are going up, bureaucrats are going up. The kids are leaving college with enormous amounts of debt, with no real education.
Which now Obama wants to forgive. He wants to sort of like, we'll just forget. It's another stimulus. We'll forgive all student loans, and that's got to be. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, because what you're asking people, working people who didn't go to college, to pay for middle class kids who did, and that's just unfair. You want to talk about fairness. That's a very bad idea.
What you need is to get government out of education and let, again, the market clear. And tuitions will actually come down to adapt to what we can afford.
But what's interesting is that the president's approval ratings are actually lower with younger people, which I thought was interesting. And the question is, again, is it that he's not far enough left? Like, are they like more towards Occupy Wall Street kind of insanity? Or are they more geared towards a sense that they want to be in control of their future, that a lot of these social programs are not going to be there for them when they're older, and that it is this mass transfer of wealth, we talked about that last week, from young to old. Social Security is a mass wealth transfer from young to old.
I think there's a sense, he came in floating on a hot air balloon of filled with promises and all sorts of ideas that the world would get instantly better if he were elected, and we all held hands and sang Kumbaya. It didn't happen, and they see that these programs did not work, and that their lives are not measurably better. They don't have jobs. Their education isn't taking them to that first big step in their career, and they're starting to think, well, what did this bring me then? It brought me nothing.
And it's really just our fault, because we refused to sing Kumbaya with him.
There it is. It's all you.
It's all me.
It is all you. Now that he's back, we can finally get back to the reality that it's all Yaron's fault. Generally, most social problems have at their base Yaron Brook. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That's all the time we have for Yaron and Terry. I'm Alan Barton, and you've been watching Front Page.